it's only you lot that always
Don't
talk
ruin
about
Christmas.
it. Someone started a rumour that I'm telling you is completely not true.
What?
Really?
I swear.
We're joined by someone who has most definitely appeared in one of your favourite films of all time, if not multiple. An award-winning actress with 5 BAFTAs, 5 Golden Globes, a Grammy and an Oscar under her belt. Wow. She's also a mother, had a top 10 single, and is now a director too. Welcome, Kate Winslet!
Yay!
All those things sound so embarrassing.
What do you think?
What are you talking about?
They're
It's like
incredible.
But it's a lot of stuff.
It's a lot,
It
isn't
makes
it?
you sound greedy. Like she's got
It
all
does.
of them just for herself.
Actually, do you know what? It makes me sound grand, and I'm so not grand. I'm not grand at all.
But your achievements are.
Yeah.
And they should be celebrated.
Yeah,
Stop
yeah.
being British,
Yeah,
Kate.
yeah.
I don't think it's British, it's just being me. I don't know. I think because I never imagined any of that in my life. I didn't sort of dream that big ever. I just wanted to get a job as an actress, and I thought, well, maybe I'll do the odd episode of Casualty and a bit of theatre. I didn't imagine any of all of this.
Maybe Holby City.
That's happened. And I was I'm very proud to say I was in Casualty.
Really?
When I was 16, yeah.
Were you ever-
16?
Yes.
Were you ever in the bill?
No.
Because that was a real rite of passage. I feel like everyone
For a lot of people.
was
Yeah.
in the bill.
My dad was in the bill. My dad was in Casualty, the bill, and Crime Watch. So
Wow.
I didn't know
Crime
you were a
Watch in a
Nepo baby.
reenactment? Or...
Yes, I am. I'm an Nepo baby.
That is amazing.
That's funny. No one's ever said that. That's really funny.
Well, we're going to talk about your new film, Goodbye June. Kate, I mean, you made us all cry. My husband was very concerned for me. I was just like watching it going, ah! He walked into the living room and went, what's wrong
laugh,
with you?
makes you
Yes.
cry,
Yes.
makes you laugh, makes you cry,
Yes.
makes you cry, makes you laugh again, and then makes you ugly cry.
Yes.
That's what I'm sort of, that's the feedback we're getting.
It's a roller coaster.
Yeah.
For those who are waiting to see it, give us the headlines for those who haven't seen it.
So Goodbye June it's a contemporary story, and it's essentially about a messy, chaotic family of quite distant siblings who are processing the impending loss of the matriarch. It's set at Christmas, it's set in England, and it is a very touching, funny, uplifting story about loss and life, really. And I had 7 weeks in which to shoot it. It was written by my son. And he had gotten a place on a screenwriting course in London at the National Film and Television School. And whilst he was there, he had to write a screenplay. And it wasn't a surprise to me that he showed a real passion for writing, because he'd always written very, very well, even as a young child. But that doesn't necessarily translate into being able to write a film script. But he did it, and he showed it to me at the end, and he was very sort of nervous and a bit embarrassed, and he said, it's a bit of an experiment, and you probably won't think it's any good. And I read it, and I was like, okay, well, you've written a film, and it's going to be a film, and we're going to do it. And he's like, what? No, Mum, don't do that thing. Mum, don't do this. Like, don't do that thing. You don't need to big me up. It's not a piece of homework you have to make me feel proud of. I said, I'm telling you, it's really good. Work on it some more. We'll have a proper conversation. And originally I was going to produce it, because I produce as well now, and was going to play one of the 3 sisters, and there's a brother too. But right at the point that Netflix had come on board and we were going to start approaching directors, I suddenly realised I couldn't let it go. And I wanted my son to remain a part of it.
It is beautifully written, but one of the things that surprised me most, when I knew that your son had written it, and obviously is a young man, it's so relatable, and those family dynamics are so relatable, and to be able to nail those complicated family dynamics.
Yeah.
What was he drawing on to get all of that so well?
So he's just always been very observant, and he was encouraged to write from the heart, and he lost his grandmother as a teenager, my mum, and was so struck by how we all came together because of our love for this one woman, and that we all came from this woman. And so he took that as his emotional backdrop, and then created a fictional story with a fictional family. It's set in Cheltenham, and it's set at Christmas time. And actually giving it that Christmas backdrop, I thought, was so genius, because that sense of the clock ticking and the days going by, and you know that you're getting closer to a big event running in parallel with this mother getting weaker, and pulling the family closer together so that she can be at peace before she leaves them all behind. It is a really wonderful script, and the dialogue was just so rich and joyful for all of us.
And funny,
to
And there's
say.
so much, there's a lot of healing in it, and I love the gay storyline. Which is very cute.
Thank you. Yeah, I love
It
that.
does remind me that I can fall in love anywhere. At any time.
Literally
Of course you
anywhere.
can.
In the darkest times, yes, as well. Yeah.
Oh, but I'm glad you bring that up, actually, because, you know, something for us that's enormously important just as people in the world and how we are raising our kids, you know, inclusivity, diversity, representation matters enormously. And that's why one of our 2 5-year-olds in the film is a little boy with Down syndrome.
Yeah.
That mattered massively to us. And this child is just, he's magical. And children, you know, children in anything in life, they bring the joy. And it was my job as the director of these 7 kids of varying ages, including a 6-month-old baby, which was actually identical twin girls, thank God. But it was my job to kind of create a situation for them that felt really safe, really fun. And honestly, they all thought they were on a 35-day extended play day. We only had 35 days to shoot the film.
Oh my goodness.
And Helen Mirren, who plays the title role, I only had her for 16 days.
No way.
Because she loves to work. So she'd just finished one thing, came to us and was hopping off to do another.
That's crazy.
I know, she's extraordinary.
Yeah.
She is just
She's so good
extraordinary.
in
I
it.
would give anything to be like her. She's just wonderful. She
Oh
really
my
is.
goodness. I mean, you mentioned the kid that plays your youngest son, and there
Yeah.
was a scene, I've got a geeky question, just because I've got a daughter who's 20 months old now, and there was a scene where you're sitting in the corridor in the hospital and you're holding him,
Yeah.
and he's asleep,
Yeah.
and I remember watching that scene and thinking, this is perfect, like perfectly timed, because you're having quite like a nice little dialogue with your brother, and he's asleep, and I thought, was that planned, or did you just grab him and go, he's asleep, let's do that shot?
So with this wonderful little boy, the character is called Benji,
Yes.
and actually his name was Benjamin,
Oh.
just amazingly. And in fact, that prompted me to then decide that all the children, when they first met, should introduce themselves in their character names, because it would be so much simpler, not just for him, but for our other 5-year-old, who's a typically developing 5-year-old. And actually, it was brilliant, because whenever they were on camera, and they never knew when we were rolling, because we would quietly roll, so that you capture the natural moments
Yeah.
with children. Whenever spontaneous dialogue, words, conversation would come out of their mouths, it was always usable because they were always using character names. But to that scene, so what had happened was we had planned what we were going to do. The little boy was going to be putting stickers on our faces whilst the 2 grown-ups, myself and Johnny Flynn, are having this conversation in the corridor of the hospital, sitting there with our shoes off and just, you know, like you do, because when actually you're dealing with potential loss, you get to a point as a family where no one's really going home anymore.
Yeah.
And you don't really change your clothes. You know, your clothes become that sort of wardrobe of mess on the ground, and you just pick the things back up and go back to hospital again. But actually, he was suddenly really sleepy, and his dad said, "Look, he really is quite tired." And I said, "Don't worry about it." And I took him in my arms, and I just rocked, and I just kept him asleep, and we just quietly rolled the camera, and he just stayed asleep, because that is also something else that happens. Everyone's routine goes really off. Kids, you eat at funny times. Everyone falls asleep when they need to, you know, the grown-ups and the children. And actually, it was a very, very, very beautiful moment. He brought the magic into every single moment that he was with us on camera. He's very, very
I
special.
loved it. It was
Yeah.
so relatable, especially when you went, I daren't move because he'll wake up. And I was
Yeah.
like, every parent has been there.
Yeah.
You're not moving. Just go get the crisps.
Yeah,
Whatever,
yeah,
get the
exactly.
sandwich.
You
I'm
Yeah.
going to stay here.
I know. You don't even want
loved
to
it.
breathe too
Yeah.
much because you're worried they're going to wake up.
I mean, he was brilliant, but the cast is unbelievable.
wow.
I mean, you, but you know, Helen Mirren, Timothy Spall, who was. Again,
Unbelievable.
I'm remembering bits that made me cry, but also made me laugh with that. And Tony Collette, Stephen Merchant, who
Stephen
sadly was the
Merchant,
character I
yes.
related to the most. When he forgets the yogurt. If I had a
Yeah.
pound for example, I forgot the yogurt.
Well, he
or
forgot
equivalent.
to get the sheep's yogurt.
It was sheep's
not
yogurt,
just
yeah,
the
yeah,
yogurt.
yeah,
It was a very
yeah.
specific yogurt that he forgot.
It was.
I know,
It was.
he's,
But was that? I mean, I guess. For your directorial debut, it's almost a double-edged sword, right? Because those are actors who you know are going to do an amazing job, but they're also actors who, by definition, have worked with the greatest directors
Yeah.
in the world. So
Yeah.
did you feel like it was a really safe space where you could play with those amazing actors, or was there a little voice in the back of your head thinking, these guys really know their stuff and this is my debut and I need to like absolutely nail this.
What I had in the back of my head was precisely what you just said. These guys know their stuff. And actually what's important to acknowledge is that when you get actors who can function at that level and prepare really properly, you know, they come to work ready to go. They're not leaving anything to chance. They also don't want to get it wrong, then don't want to let each other down, especially when you're part of an ensemble like that one. And I will say that I've worked with some really phenomenal directors in my life. Some directors who are brilliant with actors and absolutely have that language available to them, and other directors who are a little bit more visual and don't necessarily feel as comfortable having that language with actors. And so, you know, you figure out, you kind of decipher what's good for an actor and what's actively not good at all. And sometimes if a director will try something with you and they'll think they can kind of trick you into a way of thinking or being or throw you off, you smell it out, and it actually can make you a little bit defensive and super protective of what your original instinct was. So I knew that going in. And actually, I felt quite confident that I was able to at least offer them a working environment that really felt very collaborative, really open, quite uncluttered in terms of our crew. We had a brilliant, wonderful crew, but we worked closely together to make sure that if anyone didn't need to be in that space, that we would just leave the actors to it. And often we would set camera angles and we would roll and everybody would walk out of the room and we would close the door and leave the actors completely alone. Wow. We had hidden microphones everywhere. Everyone was individually radio mic'd, which is very standard, but typically children actually, they don't always radio mic them, and the boom operator will just think, okay, well, I'll just hang in the corner and I'll grab that piece of dialogue. But because I knew we had children who we were actively saying, don't learn any of those lines because it might not work for what wants to come out of your mouth when we get there. So we're just going to play and make lots of mistakes because we love mistakes. Okay, go. And they would just think that they were playing. And they totally were. And it was honestly wonderful to see how much they embraced this complete world of make-believe that we all created.
I wonder if there were any hidden cameras in your house at Christmas time.
Oh, God.
What does Christmas
Great
Day look
segue.
for your family? You know?
Christmas Day for us, it's like, you know, lots of cooking, lots of chaos.
Nice.
Presents. I do quite like a Bucks Fizz.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Of a Christmas morning.
You've got to start. I
lovely.
always start with a
Yeah.
Bloody Mary. That's my start.
Oh, do you
On
now?
a Christmas Day. Then I'll move on to the Bucks Fizz.
Extreme.
Then champagne. And then beer throughout the
So
evening.
you mix, is what you're saying.
Oh, big time.
Mix it up,
Big
style.
time. Yeah.
It
So-
is normally this time of year that I fall for a meme about the holiday sequel, Holiday 2.
Right.
I always think that is actually going to happen. Do you
Yeah.
think that could happen at some point?
I'm going to come
no.
clean. It's never come up. I promise you.
What, as in, no one who works on it has said.
It's only you lot that always
Don't
talk
ruin
about
Christmas.
it.
So you haven't. You have.
Someone started a rumour that I'm telling you is completely not true.
What?
Really?
I swear.
I think you know what the
It's
problem
never
is.
come up.
I think did it come out before WhatsApp was a big thing?
Yes.
Because if there was,
Yeah, it
if there was a
2006,
there we
that
go.
maybe.
So if there was a WhatsApp group with you all in, then
Which there isn't.
well
would come
exactly
up.
because there's not an option for it.
No.
But then it would come up, and then we'd have it.
Honestly, I don't. I have no
Give
idea.
it to us.
Would you,
We'll
would you
make
do
one.
it? Would you do it if it had come up?
I'm not having this
What if-
conversation.
What if your son
Talking
wrote
about
it?
Goodbye June.
If your son wrote it.
Do you think I'm going to give you a sound bite that's going to be more tweetable than me talking about my film? Stop it!
If we called it the Holiday June,
Holiday June.
it was like
Come
a June
on,
version.
let's talk about the green tinsel that you've wrapped around the microphone.
Well, look, there was one other thing, but maybe you're not going to want to talk about this
forgotten
either
it
in
now,
our notes.
haven't you?
No, I haven't, but I'm just scared to
still
bring it
hung up
up.
on
I'm scared
Well,
as
we
well.
mentioned in the beginning
God.
of your
Have I
intro.
scared you?
Well, no, that you've had a top 10 single,
Yes.
and it was a Christmas song.
Listen, there's
Why
a
are you
TikTok.
embarrassed about it? It's really
There's a
good.
TikTok campaign. They're trying to get you to Christmas #1.
Really?
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
actually trying to get it to Christmas #1 right now.
It would be great for the film.
It would be great.
It'd be really good for the film.
Nothing to do with the film.
Doesn't matter.
It's Christmas.
It's Christmas.
Well, I'm honoured to think that song held a place for people.
Yeah.
That's very, very kind of people. My goodness. But I'm not on any of that. I don't see any of that. It's brilliant.
And that's why we bring it to you.
Whilst we're doing Kate Winslet bingo, I'm just going to say Titanic. I mean, I think we should.
That's okay. You're allowed that.
Are we
one.
allowed to
Yeah.
mention
Oh,
that?
great.
Okay.
Well, I have a theory
Amazing.
that it's a Christmas film
No.
because it's snowy.
In Will's
It's
house.
Have
snowy.
you noticed it doesn't snow.
There's a bit where snow falls when they're out on the deck, isn't there?
That's
I'm
true.
sure there is
No,
a bit
there
where
is
snow
snow. I
falls.
think you're right.
Have you written that in?
I think there is.
I think there's snow
invented
falling.
that.
When the iceberg hits, spoiler alert, there's definitely some kind of snow.
Some
then.
sort of
It's not
flake
snow,
off
it's
the
shards
iceberg.
of ice.
No, I know it's
shattering all over
I was
the
going to say I know
deck.
it's set in April. The real thing happened in April, but snowfall. I'm sorry, I'm just
you-
Oh
googling
my
during
God,
the
you're
interview.
Googlising it. It doesn't snow.
Googlising.
Oh my God. This
Yeah,
is like
okay.
a moment.
No, you're
here.
right. You're right.
Of
I
course
take it
I'm
back.
right. Of course
I'm in it. I'm bloody in it.
I totally know.
Yeah. Okay. I take it back.
snows in Goodbye June. Should we
It
come
does.
back?
I was
And
gonna
actually,
say,
and actually, one of my
Bring it back
favourite
back.
lines in the whole film, which really set me off, because I could imagine somebody in my family saying it, is when your mum says that she hopes she comes back as snow.
Yeah,
And she can see her at
because I
Christmas.
can see you all at Christmas time. I know it's very, very
It's
moving.
lovely.
It's very moving, but it's touching. It isn't sad, actually.
No, yeah,
It's
yeah.
very, very touching and relatable.
There's a lot of hope. I think it's a reminder to keep your loved ones close. And if
But
you've
also
got any
just to say
arguments, sort it
all.
out.
Just
Yeah.
sort it out. Because you know what? Today is happening right now. Tomorrow's tomorrow. So you've got to live for today in every capacity. And I really, really believe that. And I think that's also a little bit of a hidden message in the film as well, if there is a message.
It's so beautiful.
Yeah.
You have to
Congrats.
see it. Everyone
Thank you
has to
very
see
much.
it. Goodbye June is out right now. Thank you so much for talking to us, Kate Winslet.
Should we play your song? Would you like us to play it?